Guys, today we're going to be talking about which house you should choose. Now, if you're new to the Wizarding World or to Hogwarts in general, the first thing you need to do is get sorted into your Hogwarts house. Now, getting the house you want or the house you must identify with is a big part of the experience. You can't change that. Now, granted, some people like to be surprised. Me, though, I like to be where I belong. Slytherin, baby, king of the houses. Tom, I'm coming, buddy. That's why today we're going to be going over how to choose your Hogwarts house so that when you get your letter and you load into Hogwarts Legacy for the first time, you'll be exactly where you belong. Now, for the uninitiated, the student body of Hogwarts is broken up into 4 groups: Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. Now, each one of these embodies different traits based on the preferences of the Hogwarts founders. The courageous and bold are sorted into Gryffindor, the witty and keen-minded are put into Ravenclaw, the loyal and kind are placed into Hufflepuff, and the cunning and ambitious are placed in Slytherin. But most importantly, the sorting hat goes with what you want. So it may choose Gryffindor, but you might be feeling Ravenclaw or Slytherin better. Ultimately, it really is up to you. And that has always been the beauty of the house sorting process.
Dark side, here we come!
So then the question is, does picking one house over another benefit you? The answer? No, not really. In Hogwarts Legacy, the house you choose has no bearing on the story of the game. You do get a different common room though, and you get different styled robes based on your house colors. There's also maybe a few choice lines of dialogue, but that's really it. At the end of the day, it all boils down to it being cosmetic. Now that doesn't mean that there's no reason to pick one over the other. Maybe you like the idea of living in a tower, as well as liking the color blue. Now if that's your idea of a kick-ass living situation, then you're probably gonna pick Ravenclaw. Similarly, if you want a more cozy feel, but still like the idea of living in a tower, but you're more partial to red things, then Gryffindor is a good choice for you. We'll touch on each of the common rooms and the house cosmetics in more detail here shortly, but first, let's talk about how you can pick your house before you play the game. Now, we put out a video the other day of the 10 things you should know about Hogwarts Legacy. One of them was actually linking your Wizarding World fan account. That's right, guys. Taking the official sorting quiz with your Wizarding World fan account, you can actually transfer these results to Hogwarts Legacy. This carries over, and the same thing also applies to the wand that you choose. Now, by heading to the official Wizarding World website or joining the Harry Potter fan club, you can create an account, take the sorting quiz there, and even design your own wand here. And if you don't get the house that you like the first try, the website does allow you to retake the test once more before it locks it in. And even then, if you still don't like the results, you could totally choose not to use those results in game. Personally, I got Hufflepuff twice, so I never linked it. Granted, you still do want to connect your Warner Brothers game account with the Wizarding World fan account, so that when you do load into Hogwarts Legacy, regardless of which house you decide to get during the sorting hat ceremony, you will have some sick cosmetics to use in game. And I'm talking about the house, fanatic robes, and the big skull mask, which you get for free. All you have to do is just link your accounts. And believe me, guys, the drip game is very important in Hogwarts Legacy. Now, moving on, when you begin your Hogwarts journey, you'll be starting as a 5th year, and without spoiling too much, there's going to be a little bit of an introduction to the world and the mysteries that underscore the story before you make it to Hogwarts. No spoilers, pay attention to the prologue, it's really good. Now, upon arriving at Hogwarts, you are quickly brought before the Great Hall and sorted into one of 4 houses. Professor Weasley places the sorting hat upon your head, and rather dramatically, the sorting begins. The process is rather streamlined and is essentially a multiple choice question. After acknowledging that your character is a bit older than the others, the sorting hat will mention that you come to the school with preferences, preconceptions, and certain expectations. Honestly, to me, this feels like Avalanche software, giving the fans a wink and nod, knowing full well the majority of us probably read the books or watched the movies and know exactly where we want to go. Now, you'll be presented with 2 options to pick from. Now, pick either one you want. This choice will not affect the house that you'll be placed in, and this choice is simply for flavor. The sorting hat will reply to you, giving you a unique voice line for each. Eventually, the sorting hat will try to just find something that it seems is undefinable. So ask you what it is sensing. You're then presented with 4 options. These are the ones that matter. First is daring, second is curiosity, third is loyalty, and 4 is ambition. Remember when I said that the houses were based on the founders' original preferences for students? This is where that comes into play. The entire sorting process hinges upon this one answer. Now, if you're partial to Gryffindor, obviously pick daring. For Ravenclaw, you pick curiosity. Hufflepuff, you're considered loyal, so pick loyalty. And for Slytherin, we're ambitious. The sorting hat will produce a voice line for that specific house, and then you'll be presented with the confirmation screen. Now, on the screen, you can either confirm the house that you want to be placed in, or if you don't like the option that it picked, maybe you misclicked, I don't know, you also have the option of choosing between any of the 4 houses. So if you made it up to this point and you're still not sure which one one you want to pick. Don't worry, take your time with it. Remember that ultimately the story doesn't really hinge upon which house you're going to be in. Slytherin doesn't get special bonuses over Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw, and Gryffindor isn't always going to win the House Cup. At the end of the day, go with the one you like the most. And if you're not sure which one that might be, just take a look at the common rooms and their color schemes. Each house has a very unique common room and color scheme for their various cosmetic items. And the house you choose may have some small effects on which NPCs you encounter first in your playthrough. But at this time, we don't believe it has any bearing on which quest will be available to you and when, as you interact with everyone amongst all the houses. Now first, let's take a look at the Gryffindor common room. This common room is draped in scarlet and gold with a large open area for studying, relaxing, and socializing. It's also brightly lit by massive stained glass windows adorning the stairwells and upper balcony. Living portraits and knightly armor adorn the walls, complete with large wooden beams proudly on display supporting the structure of the room. The room itself gives the impression of sturdiness and nobility, and the Gryffindor robes reflect the house colors well with their red and gold, with a proud lion emblazoned upon them. And when picking Gryffindor as your house, you'll have the opportunity to meet Gareth Weasley, who's the nephew of Professor Weasley, both of which are ancestors to the Weasleys that we know and love. Now, the Hufflepuff common room is quite different from the others. It's actually a cozy place to spend your time studying or snacking, and it's just down the hall from the Hogwarts kitchens. The room is full of earthly tones with a warming, inviting feel. All of the doorways are rounded and open with low ceilings, complete with plants and hanging herbs throughout. It really gives off like these Lord of Rings and like Hobbit vibes with the greenery and the plants and the hardwood everywhere. The Hufflepuff robes are gold and black and convey an air of lightness and friendship. Choosing Hufflepuff would most certainly have you sparking up a lifelong friendship and bond with none other than Poppy Sweeting. Now, the Ravenclaw common room is a beautiful piece of architecture and design, with everything having a clear and concise purpose. Located in the West High Tower, the entryway opens to a large stone raven statue, and the marble stone walls are accented in bronze. Now, this entrance contains two large staircases, which guide students up to a large circular study, complete with polished metal railings and open windows giving view of the sky. Neat and tidy, everything seems to have purpose in place here. Bookshelves, telescopes, all easily accessible throughout the room for diligent studying, and the blue and silver student rooms convey an air of elegance and wisdom. You'll find yourself studying with none other than Ahmed Thacker. And then finally, we have the Slytherin common room. This is actually lurking deep within the dungeons of Hogwarts. The Slytherin common room cleverly uses the natural stone as a kind of decor, presenting itself as if in a cave. Now, the windows looking out into the depths of the Black Lake cast a pale green light onto the walls of the Slytherin house, and ornate serpents adorn much of the stonework throughout the hall. Bones of exotic and magical creatures dot the fireplace and displays throughout the entryway. And the student robes of Slytherin are emerald and silver, like that of the infamous Basilisk. And in the dark halls of the Slytherin house, you have the opportunity to meet Ominous Gaunt, a powerful and connected wizard with ties to the darkest wizards in history. Personally, guys, I chose Slytherin for a lot of reasons, and I was expecting like the Slytherin house to be like really dark considering it's in the dungeons, and is actually a lot more lively and colorful than I expected. Out of everything here, if I had to choose a house purely based on their common room, I think I would probably choose Hufflepuff. And when listening to the devs at Avalanche, they made this common room. There really wasn't a lot to go off of from the books or anything else, so this is their concepts and their interpretation, and I think they did a fantastic job with it. But overall, guys, it really does come down to you, what colors you want to represent, and at least for the time being, the houses doesn't really affect the game. Now, if we get like a Quidditch DLC in the future, then obviously your house is going to be important. I don't even know if we're going to get a Quidditch DLC. I hope we are. But regardless though, this is a personal choice. I'm kind of leaning into the dark wizard fantasy, so Slytherin was definitely the one I wanted to go with. But looking at those keywords, daring, curiosity, loyalty, ambition, find which ones resonate with you the most. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.